As always, this week's episode of Adam Wastes Time is brought to you by my website, abcomedy.net. For upcoming shows, my blog, to find back episodes of this podcast, and be able to reach out to me and tell me how awful I am. You can do all those things with my website, abcomedy.net. Thanks, guys. Let's go waste some time. What's up, you guys? Welcome to episode 57 of Adam Wastes Time for April 22nd, 2018. I am Adam Blank. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast. If you've never listened to this before, this is 15 to 25 minutes of your life that you're never getting back. So settle in. Here we go. I actually could play it on like 1.5 time and get through it in like 8 minutes. That's probably my recommendation. Do that. Hey guys, I'm solo. I'm going solo this week. This is going to be the last solo one for a little while, I think. Just trying to see how many times I can say the word solo in a minute. I am going on vacation pretty quick with Shay. We are taking off to Tokyo and Vietnam, and I'm very, very excited. So I'm getting some extra podcasts banked, doing a few conversations with people, and then I'm going to try to upload those, pardon me, while we're gone. I'm going to see if I can set it up to like automatically upload. I don't know if that's something it's probably something computers could do. I don't know if it's something that I know how to make the computer do, but there'll be podcasts every single Sunday, I hope, and I'm planning to. So you guys that are like, both my listeners that are like, oh my God, he'll be God, and I can't listen to this shitty podcast. Yes, you can. It'll be there. And you can find all the old episodes on Podbean and iTunes, and most of them on YouTube as well. Yeah, and I think I've mentioned it on here before, but if you haven't, excuse me, if you haven't subscribed, please do. If you're listening to this on iTunes or anything, I'd really appreciate it. And if you find it in your heart to leave me a review, that'd be great. If you think the podcast sucks, please still leave a 5-star review, but then you can put in the comments that it's just because Adam asked for a 5-star review, this podcast actually sucks. I'm totally cool with that. I'm not exactly sure what reviews accomplish on iTunes, but all the good podcasts I listen to ask for them, so I'm going to ask for them as well. So please do that. And that's up. I hope things are good with you guys. Things are good here. I think I might set a record for shows this month, and I'm gonna miss the last few days. Like I've had 2 days off, I think, in April, which has been fucking awesome. It's been a lot of fun. I've taken a bit of a step in my career, I guess you could say. My day job and I are not quite going our separate ways, but we're close. So I'm basically banking on Shaylee and my shitty jokes to eat now, like to feed me, and I'm fucking I'm so excited about it. It's all I wanted since I started, was just to be able to do this for a living, and I'm right there, and it's still got a long way to go. I'm not a headliner. I'm not, it's funny actually. So I was talking to someone the other day about that, and I was saying how I'm not in any hurry to headline. I think some comics are, and that's cool, but I'm like, I like, to me, just because you can do an hour, so a headliner traditionally does an hour, 45 minutes to an hour on stage. I can't do an hour yet. I can get through, I've done 45. I can get through 45. Excuse me. Sorry. I should have cleared my throat before this thing, but I'm not in a rush to get to the hour and get to the headline. I think just because you have an hour, you're not a headliner. What I want to be that headline. I watch some of the headliners I work with, like Dambra and Sean LeComber, some of these great comics. And I'm like, no matter who's in front of them and how well or how poorly the people in front of them do, I know those guys are going to go up there and just murder because they're so good. And I'm like, that's what I want to be. That's the type of headliner I want to be. I want to be fucking that guy that he's going to give you a good show. And I think I can get there, but I think it's going to take a long time, and that's okay. I'm in no rush. There's a lot more pressure when you're closing out the show. You're the last memory of the show for the audience, and I'm good. I'm good just opening and emceeing and learning right now. There's still so much to learn. So much to fucking learn. And it's funny because, Funniest Person with a Day Job is a contest here in Edmonton, as you probably know, and it started a couple weeks ago, and I did my first round match up there on Tuesday. I got into the second round. It was a fun show. I got a good tape out of it. I brought my camera, I video recorded it. I have I call it like my demo tape. You need to have a tape you can send out to bookers and stuff like that. So every few months when I know I'm going to be in front of a good crowd, I try to get a new tape. Because you look back on a tape from 6 months ago and you're like, this is shit. And I was watching my tape from last year's Funniest Person, which is 12 months ago, almost to the day, and it's fucking awful. And so, and I hope that in a year, I'm like, this is awful. Like, you just constantly are pushing yourself. At least I am. I think a lot of comics are. You push yourself to get better, and I'm excited to just keep climbing. And I know I still have, if I've climbed 3 kilometers, I still have fucking 100 kilometers to go. So it's okay. I'm excited for the journey. That was 2 minutes of rambling, right? This is a good podcast. This is such a good podcast. Yeah. So anyway, it's been good. I'm not in a rush to headline, but I've been really busy, and now I'm going to be feeding myself with jokes, and that's exciting to me. Lots of shows. I did, fucking the last few weeks I've been to Sovereign, Saskatchewan. I've been to Pierceland, I guess Saskatchewan, although it's right outside of Alberta. I did Drayton Valley. I got back from Whitecourt last night. There's been lots of shows here in Edmonton. I'm going to Kalmar tonight. I was in Calgary a week ago. I'll be back in Calgary on Monday. I'll plug all that shit in a second. But it's just been lots of like little, it's fun. And like, this is a good time of year to be on the road because the roads are pretty good. Like in the winter, like in December and November and January, sometimes it fucking sucks because the roads are brutal. But right now the roads are spotless. It's dope. It's great to just go for a drive. Fucking sun is out until like 8, 9 o'clock. I've been walking my dog without a coat the last few days. I'm in such a good mood. Holidays are coming and fucking the sun is up and comedy is going goodish and just things are fucking good. So, I hope things are good with you. And yeah, funniest person is going on right now. The funniest person with a day job competition. I'm doing my absolute best. I want to win it. I came in second last year. I don't like competitions though. That's something I've learned in my first couple of years of comedy. And I know a lot of comedians don't, and I have quickly become that. And maybe part of it is because you think you should win and you don't. Maybe that's why comics don't like them. But it's such a subjective art form. Who is to say that you were the best comic or you were the best comic? Because you could tell a joke that I don't think is funny at all, that fucking my girlfriend and my dad find fucking hilarious. And then you could tell another joke that I think is so good and my dad thinks is stupid and Shaylee doesn't get it. Like it's so open to interpretation. So I think it's a hard thing to have a contest with because there's no definitive scoring system. It's just up to what do the judges find funny. And I was tempted to not even do the contest this year. But then my girlfriend actually brought it up and she was like, otherwise, if you don't do it, it runs for 8 Tuesdays. And that's usually when they do their open mic night at the club here in Edmonton. And she was like, if you don't enter the competition, that's just 8 weeks. You can't go and get on stage there. Whereas if you do the competition and you go a couple of rounds, at least you can get on stage 2 or 3 times. And she's right. And the crowds have been really, really good. And it's a great opportunity to record video there. You're doing your best material in front of a hot crowd. So that's the opportunity. So I recorded my set from the first round. And for the record, this has been a terrible first 7.5 minutes of podcast. So I apologize. I didn't feel like podcasting at all today. It's Saturday afternoon as I'm recording this. I have no interest in doing it, but I got a ton of shit to do tomorrow. So this is my only opportunity. So I was like, I better just sit down, fucking power through. How Bill Burr or somebody churns out 2 of these a week by themselves talking for an hour at a time, I have no fucking idea. I guess if you're making the money he's probably making off it, it's a lot easier. Anyway, sorry, this is not a good podcast. What was I talking about? So I recorded my set at Funniest Person, and then I sent it into SiriusXM's Top Comic, which I wasn't even going to send a tape into. So for anyone that, I guess I should explain, for anyone that doesn't know, it's a national contest that happens in Canada every year. SiriusXM runs it. You submit, they pick, I think it's 60 comedians to go into their first round. And then it's 10 comics a night for 6 nights. You go up and you get a professionally recorded video of your set. And then they pick the top 3, I believe. And those guys go into the next round. And then the audience or the country votes over a few weeks to take 6 or 7 of them to the finals. And then you go and compete for $25,000. And last year I submitted a tape and was disappointed when I didn't get in because I thought I was ready. Now, a year later, as a substantially better comic than I was a year ago, I'm like, you're not ready for this contest. And I wasn't even going to submit a tape. And then I'm talking to one of the guys, he was like, what's the absolute worst case that'll happen is you won't get in. And best case is you'll get a professionally recorded set from going to the next round. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So I did send a tape in and I am going to go, now I guess I just sit and wait. And hopefully I get selected to go and compete. And if I do, then I'll go and get a professionally recorded video and this. And I hope that makes sense. I feel like I'm drunk or something. I'm talking fast. I'm tired. This podcast is making no sense. To be frank, this out of 57 episodes might end up being the worst one. This was nothing more than like, I will be goddamned if I'm going to miss a week. I got to get a podcast up. So I'm just ranting about shitty things. Speaking of shitty things, I'm not going to name any names, but I know at least one person. There's a couple on my social media that are constantly posting about how fucking great they are. And it really irritates me. So I'm going to get away from that, the contests, and talking about how great I am to rant about people that talk about how fucking great they are. Here's the thing. The more you have to post on social media about how fucking great you are, chances are the less great you actually are. It comes across as fucking the most insecure, like, hey, everyone look at me, I'm good shit. And maybe you're listening to this and you're like, Adam, you do a podcast where you talk about yourself all the time and you fucking do a blog. You're like that. Maybe I am like that, but I don't have to look at my fucking posts, but I do look at theirs, and it fucking makes me crazy, especially when you're not the greatest at all. You're just a fucking douchebag. So if you're one of those people, I'm sure that they're not listening to this, but if you're one of these people that fucking is always posting every couple of days about how great you are and offering all this advice to people, maybe you should just shut the fuck up and figure out how to be funny before you fucking come online and tell everybody else how fucking great you are and how you could help us all be funny. All right? Fuck you. I'm leaving for a trip. I don't want to get angry. I'm leaving for a trip in less than a week. I'm very, very excited. I had never left Canada before my 30th birthday. And now over the last 4 years and change, Shay and I have been to New York, California, Florida, and Vegas. And I'm smitten with traveling. I fucking really like it. It's awesome. And like, I'm not going, so we're going to Tokyo, and we're going to Vietnam, to Phu Quoc, I think the island is called. And some people have asked if I'm going to try to do any stage time, and I was like, nope, I have no interest. Like, I want comedy to be my job now. And when I say that, I mean, I like doing it and I want it to pay my bills, but I also want to take vacations with Shay where I don't even think about it and I'm not worried about it. I'm just spending time with her because I don't see her much anymore. And as good as that is for the two of us in our relationship, it hits a point where we're like, yeah, I kind of like to see you for more than 10 minutes a night when we eat dinner before I leave. So I'm really excited for these trips, or for this trip. And it's funny because sometimes when you go on, or at least this has happened to me, when we go on a longer vacation, I get there, I'm excited. And then after about 10 days, I start to get homesick and then I want to go home. And then when I get home, I wish that I was still on vacation. So I'm really going to try to just fucking ignore those feelings this time and just go have fun and drink. And we're going to see some baseball and fucking, we're doing this thing where you like dress up as Mario Kart characters and drive go-karts through like downtown Tokyo that I'm really excited about. My buddy Andrew lent me his GoPro, so I'm going to shoot a video of it, I hope, and it's going to be fucking awesome. I'm really excited for this trip. So I'm trying to get away from the negativity from people I hate on Facebook and just fucking get into travel mode because I've got five more days to go. And the only thing standing between me and this trip that I'm not looking forward to, I got a bunch of shows, but I'm looking forward to those. The only thing I'm not looking forward to is I have to go get vaccinated tomorrow. And I definitely afraid of needles. And frankly, I'm a little bit skeptical of vaccinations. I'm not one of those people that thinks that kids shouldn't get any, but like, I don't get a flu shot or any of that stuff. But that said, I would rather suck it up and give them a few dollars and have to go through a needle than fucking catch hepatitis in Vietnam and die in some fucking shack or hut somewhere. So got to go do that. But that's all I got to get through, and then it's time for the trip. Also, it's the NHL playoffs right now, and I would just like to point out by the time this podcast goes live in about 24 hours, there's a 50-50 chance that Toronto Maple Leafs are out of the playoffs. And if that's the case, I would be so happy. I hope that they get eliminated tonight, and then I hope Boston gets eliminated in about 2 fucking weeks by Tampa Bay, and I hope Montreal wins the draft lottery. That's all I want, and I'd be happy. And shout out to Vegas. I'm sure they're listening to this. The Vegas Golden Knights are in their first year in the NHL. They won their division, and it was like, oh, well, they won their division. That's cool, but I can't imagine they're going to beat LA. Then they fucking swept LA, and it's like, well, they can't beat San Jose. They're probably going to beat San Jose. At this point, until they lose, I'm going to predict them to fucking win everything because they are the craziest story I've ever seen. I'm literally sitting here listening to myself talk, being like, this is the worst episode of this podcast you've ever done. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. I came up here without a plan. I didn't have notes written out. I was like, I'm going to try to get through 15 minutes, which I'm 14 seconds away from doing. And then I'm going to fucking get this thing posted and just call it a day. I have no interest in doing this today. And if you're like, well, thanks a lot for wasting 15 minutes of my life, come watch one of my shows where I do 30 minutes. I'll waste twice as much of your time. So basically what we got out of this is I don't like doing comedy competitions, but I do them anyways. If you brag about yourself on Facebook all the time, you're a fucking douchebag. I like traveling, and I am excited about my trip, and I hope that the Leafs get fold and leave the NHL forever. That's this week's podcast, you guys. I'm going to plug my shows and get out of here. This was nothing more than, like I say, I just got another number fucking knocked down, closer to 100, closer to the episode with Shaylee. We have some great episodes coming up over the next 3 weeks, you guys, I promise. So please come back and listen. Don't review this one. I know I said to review it. Don't review this episode. Just review future episodes, please. Tomorrow night, or I guess tonight, by the time this goes up, the 22nd, I will be at Empress Ale House on White Ave. That show starts at 9 o'clock. It is free. Come out and say hi. Tomorrow night, I'm in Calgary. Oh, God damn it. Yeah, no, by the time this goes up, it'll be Sunday, so it will be tomorrow. Monday the 23rd, I'm in Calgary for a private show, so I don't have to plug that. You guys don't care. Tuesday the 24th, I will be at Church of Comedy, at Church of John. That show starts at 9 o'clock over by Rogers Arena, and Rogers Place, pardon me, and that show is also free. Wednesday the 25th, I will be at the finale, the last show ever at Devaney's on Campus, comedy night, so that sucks. But I'm excited to be part of the last show. I'm also going to try to go over and catch Mick Foley at the comic strip first. So if you're there, come over and say hi. If you were going and you were like, oh, I thought you were hosting, I was, and I'm not anymore, and I don't want to talk about it. It's not the comic strip's fault. It's just the way things work out. And then Thursday the 26th, I will be hosting Chicago Joe's Comedy Night with Mike Dambra headlining. If you've ever been to Chicago Joe's Comedy Night, you know what a fucking street fight that show can be. So please come and support us, because we could really use the fucking support. And then that's my last show for a few weeks, and then I take off to the land of Japanese, where maybe they can teach me to be good at video games, because every time I play with them online, they fucking sodomize me. That's it, you guys. Positivity quote for the week. And there's like so I googled this quote, and I know what the quote is, but there's like 4 or 5 different versions of it, so I'm not gonna fucking... I see some from Abraham Lincoln. I see from Mark Twain, and they're a little bit different. So you guys are all going to know the quote already. It is better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to open one's mouth and remove all doubt. If you're one of these fucking peckerheads on Facebook bragging about how great you are, shut the fuck up. All right, that's it, you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Please go to the website, abcomedy.net. Please subscribe to this podcast. Please leave a review of this podcast. Not of this episode, but just as a whole. Please leave 5 stars. I really, really appreciate it. And enjoy the next few weeks. If I don't come back on here and talk, I will check in with you guys when I get home. I'll record one and go on about my trip and rant. So, yeah. Thanks, guys. Take it easy. Go. I don't want to say go Bruins. Go not Leafs. Go. And I will talk to you guys later. All right. Cheers.